Good morning, everyone. This is Paul Cones with CourthouseDirect.com. I appreciate everybody joining us this morning. Want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. We're real excited about presenting this webinar today. A little bit of housekeeping notes. We do have Zach White on the line with us. Zach's our customer service manager, and he will be monitoring any questions that come in while I'm giving the webinar. So find the question box that's on your dashboard and feel free to ask any questions as we go along. Also, too, we are recording the webinar, so if you have other staff members that were not able to attend, then they should be able to join us. So say hello, Zach, if you're on the line.
Morning, everybody.
So first of all, I want to talk a little bit about our company. You know, our company has been in business for 35 years. In fact, we're celebrating 35 years this year. And we were a lot of people don't know this, but we were the first company in the nation to put a grantor-grantee index on the internet. And since that time, we've grown the company and we've accumulated a lot of data. And one thing that we have is like 1,600 counties nationwide where we have tax information or other real property information. So we also build title plants for title insurance companies, and we make those same databases available for non-insurance purposes through what we call our GeoIndex. So, and then we're also a licensed title agent in the state of Texas. So if you see the grid there, CourthouseDirect.com is the parent company, and then the title plant company is called Integrity Title Records. The title agency is Integrity Title Company. And we also are an abstracting company, and we really built our business working for engineers and surveyors and attorneys and just anyone that needed information out of the courthouse. And we've got a very diverse clientele. You know, that would include abstractors and title examiners that are using our title plants. Also, we have a lot of appraisers, attorneys, bankers, mortgage lenders, some governmental entities, and our oil and gas side of our business has grown tremendously here in the last year since we've been adding so much more information. We also have private investigators, real estate agents, right-of-way agents, surveyors, and a lot of just consumers that are just trying to find information from the website. Now, you know, we are rolling out a new website, if you will, but in some ways we're not really changing what we're doing. So if you already know what you need, for instance, if you knew the clerk file number of the document you needed, you could simply click on Real Property Documents and go straight to the state and county and pull the document that you need. Or, for instance, if you needed to, get a property tax report, you can do that too. So, essentially, the functionality has not changed. So, again, to search the property profile or a property history, you go in, do the search, and it pulls back your information. Or if you need to just download a document, you can simply go in there and download whatever document you need. Also, too, you can still continue to use the search by map function if you like. And we also, you can go to the county and search by county. So those functions still exist on the website, and so those have not changed at all. But what is new? Well, what is new is the ability to search by address. So you can go in, put in an address, and it will drill you down to the property. And that's connected to our GIS mapping. So that's also new on our site. We also have added additional filtered searches. So if I'm someone that's trying to find out if there's any adverse liens or involuntary liens against someone, we've got a filtered search, so you don't have to look at all the records that come back on a grantor-grantee search. The same is true for releases, so that if I'm a banker or even a consumer and I'm trying to find out if that mortgage company had filed the release, then I can find that out. We also can search oil and gas leases and by clicking on the lease search. And then also we can search plats now for particular counties. And then also too, we've added an ability to do online ordering. for title insurance, and that part of our business we think is really going to grow. So to start off, I wanted to just go through the menu bars just to kind of point out the different resources that we have there. So if you just need the current documents, you could go to the Real Property Document tab. You can pull the historical. You can pull the historical documents, or click to get the oil and gas documents, or click to get the plats. You can also go to the Grantor-Grantee tab, and this is where you can find the filtered searches that we have available. Also, you can link to the GeoIndex title plant. Again, that's access to our title plants for non-insurance purposes. And so all of these links that we go to will have more kind of information pages, so you can find a little bit more out about the service that's being provided before you actually do the search. And then under property reports, that's where we have the nationwide reports where you can go in and find the tax information, also the deed information, and also you can find the look at a property history. Now, a property history will mainly have the deeds and mortgages, but would not necessarily have any kind of involuntary liens like an abstract of judgment or a state tax lien or something like that. And then we have these custom reports in Texas where we can provide what we call a limited title certificate, where it's not title insurance, but it's where a professional researcher has gone in and searched the property to make a determination as to what the deeds and the mortgages are on the property. And then something that we're really excited about is this deed and mortgage run sheet, where essentially if you contact us, we can run title on the property, and when we send the information to you, it will include a chain of title along with all the documents in that title chain. And then this is the next tab, which is our GIS mapping. And our GIS mapping is where every time documents are being filed in the courthouse, we're extracting that information and putting it into a database. And you can see the blue dots on the screen there on the left-hand side. Essentially, we're extracting all the deeds that are residential properties that would show up as a blue dot, and the commercial properties that would show up as a green dot. And with that information, someone that wants to collect that kind of data can go through and build a map and then collect the data. We also have a functionality on here which a lot of people are not taking advantage of, particularly on the surveying and engineering side, that they probably should take advantage of, and that's the ability to create mailing labels. So I don't know if I spelled label right here, but so the mailing labels are handy, because if you're doing a right of entry along a pipeline, or widening a roadway, or you're replatting an area and you need to notify everybody within 1,000 feet of the replat, you can use this functionality to create these mailing labels. Then also, too, in Texas, we're a licensed title agency, and we have the ability, and we work with other title agents that want to close real estate transactions. So if you're an attorney and you may have a relationship, let's say, for instance, in Harris County, but you don't have a relationship with a closer in Dallas County or Travis County, then you can use our website to be able to find somebody that's perhaps in close proximity to your consumer to be able to close that transaction. So because we are a licensed title agency, we're able to provide the examination work that goes into that, and then you pick the closer that you close with. And so the next tab is our Landman resources. Now, we've never really had an oil and gas tab on our website, and it's relatively new, but we have hired some oil and gas landmen, and we built what we call a Landman starter. And essentially, we can, in certain counties, we can go in and put in the survey name or the abstract number, or out in West Texas, where we built these title plants, like in Reeves and Howard County, we can put in the survey block and the survey section, and we can pull up all the information all the way back to sovereignty, and then provide that to the landman. So before he starts doing his research, I would say he probably has 60, 70, 80% of it already done for him, and then they, of course, have to go in there and build their run sheets like they typically would, but it just is a huge time saver for them. So keeping in mind that we have A lot of our customers are nationwide companies. There are certain products that we have for our nationwide companies, and then in Texas, of course, it's more in-depth. So again, for our nationwide companies, you can search by address. You can use this GIS mapping integration that we're talking about. We also have a great functionality there, which is being able to link to the latitude and longitude. You can do a statewide property search, and then you can also do a statewide name search. I call that an asset search, because if I can put in a name and see all the taxes or all the real estate that this person is paying taxes on, I can use that as an asset search, particularly if I'm an attorney and I'm trying to find out if it's worth suing someone. If I see they own a lot of property in a lot of different counties, well, that's probably something I'd want to know about, you know. And we think that for these nationwide users, it is easy to use. Now, a lot of these things are being repeated as we look at Texas, but we have added some other features in Texas. Again, the ability to order title insurance, the Landman starter, also these filtered searches, which I think make a big difference in the time it takes to actually do a search. And we have a lot more features that we want to add coming soon. Now, what you're looking at is our website as it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And so a lot of people, I think, when they would visit our website, if you're an experienced researcher, you kind of know where to go, because you see grantor-grantee index and you see real property documents, and you can kind of hunt around the website and find your way. But, you know, we kept looking at like Zillow.com, and Zillow makes it pretty easy, because essentially you put in an address, it drills you down to the property, and once you're on the property, then it's giving you some valuation information around the property. And then also, too, they want to promote the mortgage companies and the real estate agents that are advertising on their website. So they're using the valuation information to be able to pull you in, to be able to sell you other products, if you will. So as we looked at this, we said, well, we need to be able to provide our customers with the ability to search by address. Now, we can search by address, but we can also search by the owner's name, or we can search by the APN or the tax ID number. So it's not limited just to the address. You can search these other ways too. So again, I can put in an address. Again, this is just a screenshot of the website. But on here, you can see it's highlighted, very similar to Zillow, if you will. We highlight the property, and then we're asking a question down below. Is this the property you're searching for? Well, if you say no, then you go back and you do another search. If you say yes, then essentially what we're doing is we're lighting everything up. And all the things that you can do on the website now you can do. One thing that you can do is use the latitude and longitude. And this is actually a hyperlink to a Google map. So when I click on the Google map, then I can take my instead of a yellow man, we're calling it a golden boy. Take the golden boy and then drop it in front of the property wherever that is. And so, again, you can also use these other functions, so you can turn on the satellite imagery if you'd like. And, of course, if I'm a land surveyor, or if, for instance, I'm trying to decide if there's, you know, an improvement on this property, to be able to very quickly go from the tax rolls and then look at the property itself. It's also going to tell you sometimes if there's a power line there, or if you're next to a ditch, or you know what's surrounding the property. So again, that ability to be able to very quickly go from the tax information and the address to the property is very helpful. So let's look a little bit further down the page. So what we're pulling back is essentially the property information, which is the address, the owner's name, and the address. Now, you notice there's also a place that says mailing address. Well, if the mailing address is different from the property address, then we can assume that that's probably an absentee owner, so the mailing address is going to someone else. Also, you see that there's a legal description. Well, the legal description will pull back in many counties, in Texas, if you will. We will be expanding that as we go along, but if you know what the legal description is, and you know who the taxpayer's name are, and you know the tax ID number, then you're really ready to start doing some searching. Now, along the right-hand side, we call this our quick search area, because I can copy and paste the name here, click on grantor grantee, very easily paste that into the party name and search all the grantor grantee information. Or I could do the same thing, take the name, put it in the adverse lien area, hit the search button and find out any involuntary liens there. The same with releases or oil and gas leases, and then plats, of course, would be where I would be looking for the subdivision name and then searching for the plat. So this is an example of a filtered search for an involuntary lien. I put in the name Raymond Hill. I ran the search, and then it comes back and tells me that there's tax liens, abstracts of judgments, lien affidavits. Well, when I see this, I'm going to be somewhat suspicious, and I'm going to wonder if this person, if they owe the Internal Revenue Service, I don't know that they're going to pay me. So being able to do an involuntary lien search on anybody you do business with, whether you're going to be a business partner with them or you're going to spend time as a realtor, working with them, you want to know this information up front so you can alleviate those kind of issues before you go any further. Another filtered search is a release search, which outside of Texas, they may call that a satisfaction search. So the ability to put in a name and then look very quickly to see if the release was filed. So if I'm a consumer or if I'm someone that's running title and they're saying, hey, we paid off that property before, well, let's take a quick look at the releases and see if, in fact, they did show up. And then also, too, with the oil and gas product that we provide, we call this a lease check. And a lease check for the oil and gas company is where we can go in and put in an abstract number or a survey name and then look at all the oil and gas activity in that portion of the county. And it's not limited to leases. It also would include any mineral deeds, any royalty deeds, any pooling agreements. And you can search this, you can notice, by both the name and by the party, by the legal description and by the party name. And the ability to search a area of a county by the legal description and very quickly come back and see the most recent leases that are filed in that area is traditionally what might take a landman a half a day or a day to do. Literally, you could do in just a few seconds. So something that we're also very proud of is our ability, or what we've been doing, is scanning courthouse records. We have about 7 scanning crews. We go into the courthouse, we scan the handwritten grantor grantee indexes going all the way back to sovereignty, and we use these high-end cameras as much as possible, so the quality of the images that we're getting are very good. So that's almost the first thing that we do when we go in the county, is we scan those handwritten grantor grantee indexes. And then in some counties, we actually own back plants where we've worked with other folks and have been able to acquire their historical back plants. And in this case, this is a record back in, the first record there is 1879. So, we always are looking for partners, if you will, that we can trade data with. And if people own a back plant, but it's in a hard copy or on microfiche, or it's on, if it's on even a hard copy like card plants, we work with them to scan their records and make those available. And then the other thing that is part of this historical area of our website is the current and historical plats and maps. So when we call this our historical area, it's a little bit of a misnomer in that our new subdivision plats that are being filed also go in to that historical area. And then the other feature, as I mentioned, is the ability to order title insurance online. The nice thing about this, you'll have several choices of people that you might want to select as a closer or escrow officer, and then you can just simply click on the button that says select closing office, and then it brings up the order form. Now, when you look at this order form, what's really great about this is that essentially if you're logged in, then it's going to populate the information at the top of the order form for title. And then also, too, we're going to pull that title, the legal description information off of that first page that we were on. That's very important because, what happens invariably in our business, y'all know this, is sometimes people will give you an address that's the wrong address. And then you've done title work and then found out, well, I just did title on the wrong property. So this eliminates that. So I want you to kind of think for a second about what we're doing here in terms of expanding beyond providing this kind of service for title insurance. There's no reason we couldn't also refer this business to a land surveyor, or to an appraiser, or to, even a mortgage company or someone like that. Now that's phase 2 or phase 3 of what we're trying to accomplish here, but this goes beyond title insurance. It goes beyond just making it easy for us to take an order or the people that close on properties to take an order. The fact that we've locked into that property and can send that information to someone else is great. And if you'll notice, we also want to pass on that information with the latitude and longitude with a hyperlink to that particular property that exists there. And so whoever gets the order, they can click on that latitude and longitude and say, okay, where am I? And so again, another product, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is the ability to provide this deed and mortgage run sheet. So we have a legal description, perhaps we have a name of who we think to be the owner of the property, and then we just build this run sheet. And then with the run sheet, if you notice on the right-hand side, it says image. So these are all hyperlinks to the actual documents themselves. So when someone buys this run sheet from us, which we typically are going to sell for $100, then essentially you have a great chain of title for the ownership and any liens that might affect that. And then again, I mentioned the oil and gas services. This is our oil and gas page, and we're the oil and gas Landman starter. Again, we're really excited about that because our ability to hand a list of all the activity in a particular area of a county to a landman so they can go out and start doing their work at what I think is a fairly nominal price and includes all the documents that go along with that. I don't know that there's anything else like that in the market. Now, we are Landman, and we can build either a limited abstract of title, which would typically be limited to some date range that you want us to cover, or a full abstract of title where essentially we're taking the title all the way back to sovereignty. And then we can also perform a lease activity report. Now, we're not trying to compete with the landmen by any means. Really what we want to do is we want to be a facilitator to help the landmen do their job more effectively. And so this is an example, if you will, of a run sheet. And again, I think the first record on here is 1895. And what we were provided with was the survey section and the survey block, or if they provided us the township range, then essentially we build that run sheet. And this is being prepared by experienced land title folks. So it's not just we're hitting a button and then printing it out and sending it to someone. It is something that we're going to be very aware of the product that we're delivering. So we think the benefits from what we're doing here is that we're providing one tool for all the research needs that you have. And the ability to verify an address very quickly, I think, is very important. I know that in our title insurance world, sometimes people will tell you, well, I've got a property, they place an order with you, and they tell you, for instance, that the property is in Denton County. Well, you find out that it was actually in Collin County. Well, your ability to search an address statewide eliminates that kind of difficulty. And then also, just to know where a property sits in the real world, particularly for, I would say, for a surveyor that is, you're using the tax maps from the appraisal district, but you have a tax ID number. You're trying to find out where is this property that really exists. Now you can cut through all that, essentially put in a tax ID number, and you're searching all over the county, and that's tied to a satellite imagery, which can also be helpful. And then also, too, again, with these filtered searches, you can very quickly determine ownership, liens, and releases. And if we're doing all these things and we're doing them properly, then you are going to save time and money. Now, this is my request to you, and that is that you try the new courthousedirect.com website today. Find your house. Hopefully share this information with your colleagues. We want to be available to you. And so that's our contact information for Zach White and his customer service team there. And we want your comments. We want to know how we can do what we're doing better than we are doing it. So your suggestions, your comments, those are all those are all very welcome. And so what I'd like to do now is just go straight to the website and just kind of show you a couple of searches. So let's do that. Zach, do you have any questions that I should be answering before I move to the website?
Hi, Paul. Yeah, we've got a couple of good ones. One of them here is about lease check and lease alert.
Yeah, we'll go over that. So I want to do a search actually in California first, because I know we've got a lot of people on the phone that are outside of Texas, and we're going to cover Texas pretty well in just a second. But if I'm looking for a property, let's say it's at this address, which is 3300 Keishan. I'm not selecting any counties. I'm just selecting the state, and I'm doing the search. Well, very quickly it comes back and says this is where the tax ID number for the property, the person that's paying taxes on it, the mailing address, and then what we're going to do is we're going to zoom down to the property. And as we're zooming down to the property, you can see how it's got a little marker here that shows where the property is. Now again, if this was not the property, I would click the no button, but if it is the property, I would click the yes button. And then as I move down the page, you see that latitude and longitude right there. I'm just going to click on that. So when I click on the latitude and longitude, then I'm a lot closer to the property, where I'm on the Google map for the property. And then I can take, again, our golden boy, and I can just drop him right in front of the house, and then very quickly I'm looking at the property itself. I'm at the intersection of the property. So this ability to be able to go from the tax information to the property and then go back to the tax information is easy enough to do. And if I were researching this Robert Hardin name, then I can copy that name, click on the grantor-grantee index, paste that name into the grantor-grantee. Again, I want to take out any spaces. I don't want to leave any spaces there. And then I want to search Robert Hardin, and then I say, this is probably my deed right here. It's the only deed that I see. Maybe there's another deed. And I want to actually sign in. Let me do that. Let me do that search again. So let me put in Mr. Hardin. Again, it looks like there's a deed right there. I'm going to say buy the deed, and then I can click on view image and then open the document up. And if I look at the second page, I'll say, yes, this is Mr. Hardin, and this is the legal description for the property that I'm looking at. So you can see how quickly you can move from the actual search that you're doing on the property to the grantor-grantee index. Now, we also have these other products, which is our profiles, property history. I'm just going to click on the samples here. So the property profile is mainly tax information, but the real value on here is the ability to a lot of times get the sales information for the property itself, which is down here at the bottom of the page. And then also too, we do have these property histories, and so the property history will show you several documents going back several years if they took out an additional mortgage, or if they actually sold the property, you'll be able to see that. This isn't something I would tell you to bet the ranch on, but to be able to get in the title and be able to see some chain of title, I think can be very helpful. We do have sales comparable information too. So if we look at sales comparable, we can see, okay, these are the properties that had recently sold, and then if I'm an appraiser or somebody like that, then I go, okay, these are the properties I probably need to be checking on. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on the Buy Now button for this property report, and it does caution you and say you are going to spend $3 here, but I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and this is a $3,300 Keishan property. And if I go down the bottom, I can see here's my file number. So again, if I wanted to download this copy, then I could just click the copy button, click on download. It already knows I'm in Los Angeles. It knows that the year is 2002, and there's my doc ID number. And then down below, I clicked on Buy Document. Down below, I can just click on View Image, and I've got the document here. So again, what we're doing is tying in these property reports, so it makes it easier to move from the address that you've entered in to be able to very quickly buy a property report. So, and we also own a website which is called courthousesquare.com, and we do allow people can get listed on there. It's free to get listed. If you're looking for a service, a real estate or professional service on courthousesquare.com, you can actually search that from the courthousedirect.com website. We've never integrated those together, but now they are integrated, and these listings on the bottom, we kind of rotate those, so just to kind of give people some exposure on the courthousedirect.com website. So I'm going to now move to Texas. So I'm going to go back to the home button. I'm on Texas, and I want to run a search for Anderson County, and I'm looking for an owner's name, and that owner's name is John Martin. So I'm going to put in John and then Martin, and I'm going to search that. So I see here's a John Martin, and again, it's going to drill down to that particular property. Now, we don't have the legal descriptions for that particular county, on our website. This is, I believe, Houston County, but this is my property, and we could still pull perhaps run the grantor-grantee search or do a lease check. So here's my lease check button here, and I know, for instance, that that there was some property in what's called the Bowen survey that we think there's some oil and gas leases out there. So I'm just putting in Bowen, saying go find everything that's oil and gas related out of Bowen. So you'll see the mineral deed, you'll see the oil and gas leases, and again, if there was a pooling agreement or some other document that had Bowen in it, you can see Bowen showing up over and over again. And I could, if I wanted to, that's 315 acres. I'm going to hit the back button, and I'm going to, this is a little trickier, but I'm going to put in a plus sign, and I'm going to paste in that 315, and so go find everything with Bowen and 315, and it's going to go through the database and just find those things that have 315 on it. So that's a very powerful tool, and what we're always trying to do in our business is really find the needle in a haystack sometimes. You could look through everything that's got Marathon oil on it or whatever and find it, certainly, but that takes time. So what can we do, as a search tool to make that easier for you to be able to do the searching? So again, we're back here. If I wanted to look for any releases for Mr. Martin, I can just click on releases and be able to do the search for releases. So again, I'm going to do another search here. So I'm going to do 1326. Search that. I think I know these people. And I'm going to drill down to the property itself. Again, you're looking at the legal description on the property, and so we can look at it. You can see lot 1. Yes, we're lot 1. Those lot numbers are matching up, and I can say yes, this is the property. So now we know that we're in Spring Branch Wood subdivision. I want to pull the plat for that, so I can just click on plat, and then I can put in Spring Branch W, and go find everything with Spring Branch Wood, and then I can say, I think this is my plat. Maybe it's section 1, section 2. I can just say buy selected documents, and then at the top I can just click on view image, and then I can open the image and I'm looking at the plat. So it's that quickly I can get to the plat. Now I will tell you that this plat integration that we're doing, the first one that we've done is Harris County. So you go on there and say, oh, you don't have it in Dallas County yet. No, we don't, but it won't be too long that we're trying to get all this integrated so that in any county that you're in, you'll be able to just go in and be able to go straight to the plats that you're looking for. So again, as we kind of go down the page, as I mentioned, the tax ID number is published here, the legal description, and then also too the different things that are on the what we call our quick search are also listed here for the county, and then And then the view and download really is our historical records. And if I want to go into the historical records, since I am logged in, I go straight into it. And within these historical records, if you look at, like, for instance, Reeves County, for instance, Reeves County, we've gone in with our scanning crews, and we've scanned pretty much every single piece of paper in the county, because I know that if you're a landman and you're doing a drill site opinion, even if it's a lien list pendants or a federal tax lien, you have to look at that document. You never know when somebody's conveying some kind of mineral interest that's hidden in some kind of a record there. So, and again, I mentioned that, first thing we do, we go into a county, we scan the typically the handwritten grantor-grantee indexes, and then we kind of sub-index this stuff so it's easier to use. And let me tell you, this is data that we use for our own company. So we want it to be as good as it can be. And since we are a search company, then we have the knowledge and experience to be able to do this and do it right. And so very quickly I can go in here and I could see, well, here's a volume, whatever it might be, that I might be looking for, a volume 193-504. Well, if I know it's 193-504, I can also go in here to volume 193-504, just like I'm pulling a book off the shelf. That's really what we want it to feel like for the landman. And so every once in a while, the numbering will be off a little bit because well, we did land on 504, but because sometimes we're creating this image off of microfilm, and the people that shoot the microfilm sometimes will duplicate the pages. But so very quickly, I can go from the grantor-grantee index, and this is actually free to view this document here. It's free to use the grantor-grantee indexes, although we are looking at creating a nominal charge for access to the historical records, and that'll probably be in another month or two, but just to kind of let you know that. So again, our historical records, again, I would encourage you to come in here, take some time. Some counties we don't have as much data, but there's other counties that you go into and you'll see a lot of different data in there. And again, wherever we can get our hands on information and data, and we can go in and scan county records, then we're trying to do that. So we're back here to the property here, and let's say, for instance, now I want to order title insurance. So we have a button here that says order, and when I click on that, it's kind of walking me through. It already knows I'm in Harris County. I'm the seller, so I'm going to tell them I'm a seller. Also, I'm selling the property. It's not a refi. It's a residential property. So then I've got a list of closers. Now, since this is a brand new rollout, I mean, we've only had it up for a couple of days, then you're not seeing any listings here except our own company. But for instance, if there were several listings here, then you would go through and you pick whatever listing or whatever company or closer you want to deal with, and then you just click on the button here that says select closing office. Well, it knows I'm the seller. It knows I'm Paul Cohn, so it populated some information. It will be populating more information, but let's say, for instance, the address is 9800 Northwest Freeway is my address, and my email address is pcohns@Courthouse Direct, and I want to just click continue. This is a beautiful thing. It brought all that legal description information along with, again, a hyperlink to the property itself on a Google map right there. I can just jump right back to the order form, click continue. Because I'm the seller, it's populating all the information further in the order form. And then as I go through, I can put the buyer's information, the loan information. And then what we tell people is, you want to include your earnest money contract if that's applicable. If you're doing a refi, then that wouldn't necessarily apply. But we also kind of tell people, look, if you'll provide a copy of your prior policy or your prior land survey and a copy of your deed, that might help us turn your order around faster. And you can actually just drop your attachments here, click on that, and then put the attachments in here. And then if you wanted to add any comments, certainly you could do that, and then you can click on submit the order form. So once you submit the form, then essentially there's several emails that go out. One goes to the escrow officer that's going to close the transaction. Another goes to the out-of-county order desk for the company that's going to be closing the transaction. And then Integrity Title, who's doing the title examination, will get the email. And then also to the consumer will get the email too, to acknowledge that the order has been taken. When I click OK, it just brings me back to where I was before. Now, I'm going to go back, go down the page again, and let's kind of look at these other services I was telling you about. This limited title certificate, we do a lot of these for like cell tower sites and just different companies that just needs to have a more formal report within that. And then included within this is typically going to be the actual documents that we're citing within the report itself. And so, and then also too, this is our deed and mortgage run sheet that I was mentioning earlier. And these hyperlinks, I'm just going to click on one of these documents here. I can just click and open that document. So essentially, we're selling a run sheet that has hyperlinks to the document. So when you want to look at this particular document, you just click on the hyperlink. It's sent to you in a Word format or an Excel format, and you can edit this report on your side too whenever you're looking at the report. And then we also do perform manual research. If I click on the order button for manual research, it already fills out the order form for me, and then I can just go ahead and start doing my search. And then so that's those are our tools. We do have some information pages too for our title plants, and for our GeoIndex. So if somebody is interested in learning more about these different products, then they can go here. They can kind of see what a digital report looks like coming off the report. These are our back plants. Again, I mentioned that we do scan title plants that sometimes are index cards. You'll see that there. And so, and we have included our videos here if you want to watch a 4 or 5 minute video that tells you a little bit more about the property. So, Zach, I want to turn to you and see what questions you might have that we can answer today.
Paul, I think one question we've gotten is about the GeoIndex. And that's it for right now.
Okay, so here's our GeoIndex, and so and again, you can get to it just by clicking. If you notice that along the left-hand side, it just says GeoIndex title plants. So if I go in here and I wanted to, I'm going to do Harris County. I could do Reeves County or another county, but if I go in here and I was looking for Gessner Grove subdivision, and I knew that it was lot number 5, and I knew it was block number 1, then I can search that, and then it's going to bring back all the information in a legal description search. And this is our essentially access to the title plant for non-insurance purposes. So it works kind of like, I like to call it like a Google search. It's looking for all the Gessner Gs, all the lot 5s, all the block 1s, and it's pulling those results back. Taking a little longer than it normally does, and a lot of times you want to make sure that you did spell everything correctly if to be able to pull that back. Well, I'm glad you asked about the GeoIndex, Zach. I'm just kidding. Maybe something that maybe my machine. If you notice at the top, I've got like 100 tabs open, so I could be kind of slowing my machine down. There it is. So, again, this is a chain of title. It's going back, in this case, back to 1963, and we're looking at the chain. So I've got deeds from Lasky to Harvey, and then Harvey to Powell, and then Powell to Forsyth, and then Forsyth to Ron and Patsy Forsyth, and then Forsyth to Tuthill. And again, we're looking at this chain of title. And so what I can do is I can click on the documents I'm interested in, and I can add all that information into a report. So down at the bottom, I could name the report. I can name it Gessner Grove Lot 5, and then add that information to the report. And then I can go in here and say, well, I need to run who I think to be the latest owner of the property. So I'm just clicking on a name here to be able to research that name. And by running the general search, I'm running essentially the grantor-grantee search. So you notice there's 16 records here. And then I can add whatever information that I want to the report, add that to the report, and then I want to view the report. And if it's not in chronological order, I can click on the file date. That will put it all in chronological order, and then I can click on Get Selected Documents, and then along the right-hand side, you can see where these are the documents. Something else that we've been working on is to add tax ID information into our run sheets, and that's kind of an ongoing process. But integrating tax information into our report, is something that we certainly are working on. Something I do want to show y'all that y'all may or may not be taking advantage of is that we have down at the very bottom left-hand corner, we do have our blog site, and our blog site is very professionally done. And if you look along the right-hand side, you'll see all the different categories of different blogs that we've done over time. So again, the reason that you're on the phone today is you want to learn about different information, and this is really a good resource. We also recently rolled out a book, which is a history of land titles in Texas that we're really excited about. I think it's like a 30-page ebook. And if you've not seen that yet, then certainly let us know, and we'll share that with you. So Zach, what else? Is there any other questions that we can answer?
Yeah, I've got one. What would be the point of sending my staff to the courthouse with our site? That's really a hard question. I really can't think of a reason to send the staff to the courthouse. Now, I'm halfway joking about that because I've had landmen that say, well, my broker or my producer or the people that are paying me say that I'm required to do the research in the courthouse. And when I hear that, then my reaction to that is that that's perfectly fine if you need to do some research in the courthouse. But if you can do 95% of your work before you go into the courthouse, then essentially you've already got your chain of title. And if you have your chain of title and you've already pulled all the information, the courthouse is just allowing you to double check the information that you already had. So if the contract with your client says that you're required to go to the courthouse, I think that's perfectly fine. But if you can get 95% of your work done before you go to the courthouse, then you're, I call it belt and suspenders. That is, when you go to the courthouse, then you're just double checking what you already had. And by doing that, then you're actually providing, number one, you're being more productive and more efficient in the work that you're doing, and you're double checking your work, from the courthouse records. Now, we're acquiring the courthouse records ourselves, and we don't manipulate those records in that unless we see it's something that's blatant, a misspelling of a name or something like that, and we actually retain that misspelling of the name. You may not see it as a user, but we retain that misspelling so we can document the fact that the data that we got from the county was not accurate. And so again, when you're looking at our data, you're looking at data that we're using every day for the work that we're doing, and we're very, cognizant of the fact that it needs to be as good as it can be. Paul, I have one more question here. Is there a particular plan that someone needs to be on to use the search by address function?
Well, the search by address, you don't even have to be logged in. So the search by address is welcome to anybody that visits a site. The only time you really pay on our website is when you want to download a copy. So that's when you need to log in, and that's when you need to sign up. Now, you know, we want people to, we want to make it easy to get to that document, as easy as you can get, but the ability to search by address is not dependent upon any different plan. It's really open to the general public. And we want, you know, a lot of what we want to do here is drive traffic to the site. So if I'm driving, or if we're driving traffic to the website, then if we're partnering with you because you're a surveying company that we can refer business to, or you're a engineering company that we can refer business to, or some other service like that, if I refer business to you, then hopefully you'll keep us in mind for the work that you need from us. And that's, I'm always looking for those kind of relationships. I did remember seeing one question that someone was asking about, you know, if I have on the grantor grantee index, I was looking for something, I think it was like Comal County, the person had asked about. And so in Comal County, they had a couple of different party names that they were looking for. And so you do have this ability to use a sub-search. And so, for instance, if I'm looking for what Jones did with Smith, I'm assuming Jones and Smith did some business together, then I can, under the party name, I can put Jones and say, go find everything where Jones and Smith did business together, and it'll go through the whole database looking for anything where there's a match with Jones and Smith. And that's very powerful. So, for instance, if I was looking for someone having granted an easement to Texas Power and Light or Houston Lighting and Power, you know, then in essence, I can go through the whole database and just look for those where those matches are coming up. So you see the colors are matching across here. So you've got Larry Jones and Smith over here. The example I like to use, just because it's fun, is if I go to Texas and then I go to Harris County, and I know what I'm looking for is I'm looking for someone named Smith, and then the first name is Anna. And I'm saying I want to find everything with Anna Smith. Well, Anna Smith's a fairly common name, and of course Harris County is the largest county in the state, so it brought up 549 records. We display 100 records to a page, so there's 6 pages altogether. Well, if I hit my back button one time, and I know the property that she owned was in the Duckworth survey, then I can just match Anna Smith and DUCKW, and then you see where it matches together. Or I could hit my back button and say, well, I know that Anna Smith did some business with someone named Marshall. Then I can match Anna Smith and Marshall, and very quickly it comes up and says this is who they are. So I can click on Buy Selected Document. It goes out to our image database, and I can click on View Image, and then I can open the image. Now, again, this is kind of a funny document in that you know who Anna Nicole Smith is, also known as Vicki Lynn Marshall. They went on a little shopping spree to New York. He bought her a $455,000 diamond ring and a $493,000 necklace, spent $2 million and put 1.6 on the American Express card. Again, I like the document because it shows how you can take a common name like Smith and be able to match that against some other piece of information to be able to get whatever it is you're looking for. Also, too, for instance, if I knew the clerk file number, like in this case, this R number, you can also go in here, and we do give you the ability to search by a doc ID number or by volume and page number. Now, there's some spaces there. I want to eliminate the spaces, but it'll go through and find whatever that is. If it was a volume and page number, I could more or less do the same thing. Someone is asking about the pricing, and I'm going to be able to show you the pricing, I have to log out. So it's at the top right-hand corner. Again, as I mentioned, the way that we earn our revenue is from selling copies. So that's what you see at the top is, and a lot of people sign up on Plan 1, but they realize, I'm pulling a lot of copies and I'm paying $1 a page for these copies. It makes more sense for me to be on Plan 2. Or, for instance, if I'm pulling we kind of estimate that if you pull over 22 copies a month, you really need to be on the Texas volume pricing, which essentially makes your cost for your copies $2 a document, and the monthly minimum, though, is $50 minimum. Well, a lot of people can reach that minimum very, very easily. So, and then also, too, we do have subscription services for for the GeoIndex title plant. And again, so again, this is where the pricing page is just at the, when you're not logged in, you'll see it at the top right-hand corner. So another question is, somebody said, well, I'm most interested in involuntary liens. So again, we do have an adverse lien button here on the left-hand side. And when you're here, you can just select whatever county it is you're trying to do this adverse lien search in. So for instance, if I say, well, I'm looking for in Harris County, I know that the party's name is Hill, and I know the first name is Raymond, then I can say I want to find everything with Raymond Hill where there's some kind of involuntary lien. You notice that it says internal revenue liens, state tax liens, hospital liens. So anything that we might consider to be an involuntary lien, essentially we're searching for. And sometimes the search takes a little while because it's doing a lot of number crunching. So you can look at the results that we got back here with judgments and tax liens and abstracts of judgments. So you might think long and hard before you either lend money to this person or before you do business with them. So now you may figure out, well, maybe maybe these have been released. Well, maybe they have, maybe they haven't. Well, maybe we need to check to see if they've been released. So we'll go into our filtered search for releases, and then we can put in the same name. So we're going to look for Raymond and see if there's been any releases filed. And so it's going through the database looking for any releases. So that quickly you can filter out all the other information, so you're not having to spend all this time looking at all the mortgages and all the notices and all the assignments and all the things that they really don't matter much to you. I see a question too about divorces and probates. For our title plant customers, we do have divorces and probates, and that's something that's kind of our goal this year, is to try to get more of the divorce and probate information online. I will tell you, in Texas anyway, divorces and probates are considered judicial records. And what that means is that it's up to either the custodian of the record, which could be the county clerk, or the district clerk, as to whether or not they're willing to release those records to us or anybody else. And so, but obtaining those probates and divorce records are certainly something we want to, we want to look at. I know I saw a couple comments here that I was kind of going fast through the presentation, and I do apologize for that. I felt like we had a lot to cover, and I didn't want to kind of not cover everything, but I do want to make ourselves available to you if you do have any questions. And again, we did record the webinar, so you'll be able to go back and look at it. But at any point in time, if you want to reach out to us, again, our customer service address is information@courthousedirect.com, or you can find the help button down at the bottom, and we can help you with that. So let's see here. Anything else you have there, Zach?
Got one question about oil and gas assignments, and the question is, what about oil and gas assignments? Assignments may have multiple leases and multiple abstracts.
Yeah, so let's look at, for instance, let's look at a Reeves County, for instance. So if I want to look at, Reeves County for the grantor grantee, then I'm going to go here, let's go ahead and pick Reeves. And when we build a title plant, which in Reeves County is a county where we've actually gone in and we built a title plant. And when we did that, anything that there's an assignment, so let's say, for instance, initially a lease was filed and the lease had a legal description on it. So, but an assignment, a lot of times, will just have a list of volume and page references back to the original oil and gas leases. So what we've done is we've created a process so that we're tying the assignments back to the oil and gas leases and pulling the legal descriptions in through the database. So if you see an assignment, then you'll see that there will be again, a lot of multiple legals. Now, I just put in the name Smith, John Smith. You see the records go all the way back to 1884. We're current right now through the end of November. But a county like Reeves County, the Landman starter is really a great tool for folks there, because you can purchase that starter, and we'll send you a run sheet that goes all the way back as far as we have it on the database. And those assignments, if they're posted to that section and that block, then you'll be able to pull it that way. So I think that's true also too with releases and assignments for real estate. It's the same way. You know, they'll file the document with just the reference back to the volume and page number of the original deed of trust. And a lot of times putting in the clerk file number for the deed of trust will pull up the assignments and the releases, assuming that the release was filed without a legal description on it. So, so a question here, another question is about where do I find deed restrictions? And so now for our title insurance customers, most of them all know about this, and this isn't a huge secret by any means, but we do have a folder at the top left-hand corner here that's called Starter Basis Plats. So if I'm looking for a starter, let's say in Harris County, and I know that the subdivision is Timber Grove Manor, let's say Section 5 or something, you can almost use this as like a subdivision index, because you see the subdivision name, and then next to it is the volume and page recording of the plat itself. So if I'm looking for Timber Grove Manor, there's Timber Wood, Timber Grove Manor, Section 5, for instance, or I'm going to do Section 6. Then you can see there's the plat that was filed, and so I can look at the plat and go, yeah, that's my property. Yes, I'm on Worcester Lane. And then I can see, well, and we break it down by the block and then the lot number. So if I know that I'm running title on lot number 8, then I might want to look at the title commitment for lot number 7 and lot number 9, because that might tell me, you know, what's going on in the property. If I'm looking for deed restrictions, then certainly that's where you're going to find the deed restrictions. Now, depending on who this company was, I might say, well, I almost trust them, but maybe I want to pull the title commitment on the property next door too, and just see what they're saying as far as the deed restrictions. And if those match, then you can feel pretty confident that those are all the deed restrictions. Within the title plan itself, you know, we do have the ability, or we do have a search mechanism within the plan, which is our restriction search. So if I were looking for, let's say, for instance, you know, Timber Grove Manor, you know, for deed restrictions, and I would type in the subdivision name here, and then it would filter out anything that might be a deed restriction or a plat. Occasionally, you know, like an amendment, that could be something that might be an amendment of an agreement, but so occasionally you will get kind of a false positive. But again, that's typically how you would search that, is just search by restriction, or the same way if I was searching for easements, I would put in easements, and I would put in whatever the legal description is, or if I knew the party's name, I could search it that way. I think we need to wrap this up. So it's, again, been a pleasure having everybody here. I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, and certainly we want to be available for any questions that you have, and your comments and suggestions are greatly appreciated. So y'all have a great day, great year, and hopefully we'll be talking soon. Thank you.